My girlfriend screamed at me, saying, "You're poor yourself, and you're jealous of successful men. That's why you don't want me to stay with my boss and make progress." This was her answer to the question I asked about the late-night meetings. I didn't say anything. I just left her and walked away. Then I sent the HR department what I had, because of which my girlfriend was fired from her job. After that, she came to me crying. "I'm Daniel. I'm 29, and I work as a network security analyst for a mid-sized tech company in Denver. It's not glamorous, but it pays well enough, around $85,000 a year. I live in a decent one-bedroom apartment in the Capitol Hill area, drive a 7-year-old Honda Civic, and I'm comfortable. Not rich, just stable. I've got about $15,000 in savings, no major debt besides student loans, and I can afford to go out on weekends without checking my bank account first. I met Veronica 2 years ago at a mutual friend's barbecue in June. She was working as a marketing coordinator at a boutique firm downtown, making around $48,000. She was ambitious, funny, smart, and had this infectious laugh that made everyone around her smile. We clicked immediately. Within 3 months, we were official. Within 6, she moved in with me because her lease was up and it just made sense financially. Things were good, really good. We'd cook together on weekends. She made incredible pasta carbonara, binge terrible reality shows like Love is Blind, and talk about eventually getting a dog. Maybe a golden retriever. We'd named him already, Baxter. She'd complain about her boss sometimes, some guy named Gregory, but nothing serious. Just typical work stuff. He was demanding, a little condescending, but she said he recognized her talent. Then, about 4 months ago, in late August, she got promoted to senior marketing associate. New responsibilities, better pay, $62K, and a lot more face time with Gregory, who was apparently grooming her for a management role. She was ecstatic. We went out to celebrate at this nice steakhouse downtown, and she talked for hours about her plans, her goals, how this was just the beginning. I was happy for her. Proud, even. But then the late night started. Update 1. It began subtly. A text here and there. "Working late tonight, babe. Don't wait up." Or, "Gregory wants to go over the campaign strategy. Might be home around 10. I didn't think much of it at first. She was new to the role. Of course, she'd have to put in extra hours. I remembered my first few months as a security analyst. I was pulling 12-hour days regularly. But then 10 became 11. Then midnight. Then 1 a.m. One Friday in late September, she didn't come home until 2:30 in the morning. I was still awake, sitting on the couch with the TV on mute, waiting. I tried calling her around midnight, but she didn't pick up. Just texted back, "In a meeting. Call you soon." She never called. When she finally walked in, she looked flushed. Her hair was a little messy, and she smelled like wine and expensive cologne, not hers. "Hey," I said, standing up. "You okay?" Yeah, I'm fine," she said quickly, kicking off her heels and nearly stumbling. Just a long night. Gregory wanted to celebrate closing the Denali account, so we grabbed drinks with the team. "Until 2:30? She paused, then laughed. It sounded forced. "You know how it is. Time flies when you're having fun." We went to that rooftop bar on Larimer Street. It was packed. Sounds like it was a good time. Yeah, it was. She walked past me toward the bedroom. "I'm exhausted. I'm gonna shower and crash." I didn't say anything. I just nodded and went to bed. But I couldn't sleep. I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to the shower run, and feeling this uncomfortable knot in my stomach. The next morning, I asked her casually over coffee. "So, who all was there last night?" She didn't look up from her phone. Gregory, Amanda, Jared, a few others from the team." "Sounds fun. What did you guys talk about?" "Just work stuff. Campaign metrics." "Boring. For 5 hours?" She finally looked up, her expression irritated. "Daniel, what is this? An interrogation?" "No, I'm just asking." "Well, it feels like an interrogation." She got up, poured the rest of her coffee down the sink, and left for a yoga class without saying goodbye. Over the next few weeks, the late nights became routine. 3, sometimes 4 times a week. Tuesday night until 11. Thursday night until midnight. Saturday afternoon suddenly became, "I have to go into the office for a few hours," which turned into her not coming home until 9 p.m. And every time I asked about them, she'd give me vague, clipped answers. No details. No stories. Just nothing. Our conversations became transactional. "Did you pay the electric bill? Can you pick up milk? I'll be late tonight. We stopped cooking together. Stopped watching shows. She was always too tired, too busy, too stressed. Then, one Thursday in mid-October, I got home early from work. I'd left my laptop charger at the apartment and needed it for a meeting the next morning. I texted Veronica to let her know I was coming home, but she didn't respond. When I walked in around 3 p.m., Veronica was in the bedroom on a video call. The door was cracked open, and I could hear her voice, soft, almost flirty. "Oh my God, stop," she was saying, laughing. "You're so bad." I froze in the hallway, my hand still on the doorknob. "No, seriously, Gregory," she continued. "You can't say things like that at work. Someone's going to hear you." My stomach dropped. I know, she said, her voice dropping to almost a whisper. "I can't wait either. Tonight's going to be fun." There was a pause. Okay, she said, still laughing. "I'll see you tonight." "Yeah, wear that cologne I like." But when she came out a minute later, scrolling through her phone, she jumped when she saw me standing there. "Jesus, you scared me. When did you get home?" "Just now," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Forgot my charger." "Oh, yeah, it's on the desk." I grabbed it and left without another word. That night, she texted me at 7 p.m., "Working late. Don't wait up." She didn't come home until 1 a.m. When she crawled into bed, I pretended to be asleep. Update 2: I couldn't take it anymore. On a Tuesday night in early November, when she texted me at 8 p.m. saying she'd be late again, I decided to do something I'm not proud of. I drove to her office. It was a small building near downtown, mostly empty by that hour. The parking lot was nearly deserted. I parked across the street under a streetlight and waited, feeling like a complete idiot. At 9:45, I saw her walk out with a man I assumed was Gregory. He was probably in his mid-40s, tall, well-dressed in a tailored suit, with salt and pepper hair and one of those expensive watches that catches the light. They were laughing about something as they walked to his car, a black BMW 7 Series. They got in, and they drove off together. I followed them. I know how that sounds. But I had to know. I had to see it with my own eyes. They drove to a wine bar about 15 minutes away in Cherry Creek. Upscale place. The kind with a sommelier and $40 glasses of wine. I parked down the block and watched them go inside through the large front windows. For the next 2 hours, I sat in my car, feeling sick. I watched them through the window. They were sitting close, leaning into each other, laughing. At one point, he reached across the table and held her hand. I didn't go in. I didn't confront them. I just waited. At midnight, they came out. They stood by his car for a few minutes, talking. Then he leaned in and kissed her. Not a peck. A full, lingering kiss. His hand on the small of her back, pulling her closer. She kissed him back. Her arms went around his neck. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. I couldn't breathe. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely start the car. I drove home in a daze, running a red light without even realizing it until someone honked at me. When she finally got home at 1:30 a.m., I was sitting on the couch in the dark, staring at the wall. "Hey," she said, dropping her purse on the counter. "You still up?" "Yeah." She walked over, looking at her phone. "Everything okay?" I looked at her. "Where were you tonight?" She frowned. "Work. I told you. All night." "Daniel, what is this?" "I'm just asking where you were." She sighed, irritated. "I was with Gregory and some clients. We had dinner. It ran late. You know how these things go." "Clients?" "Yes, clients." "What were their names?" She blinked, finally looking up from her phone. "What? The clients? What were their names?" Her face hardened. "Why are you interrogating me?" "Because you're lying." "I'm not. I saw you," I said quietly. "I saw you get into his car. I saw you go to the wine bar. I saw him kiss you." For a moment, she just stared at me. Her mouth opened slightly, then closed. Then her face twisted into something I didn't recognize, something cold and defensive. "You followed me?" she said, her voice rising. "You actually followed me? Are you serious right now?" "Veronica." "No, you don't get to Veronica me. You followed me like some creepy stalker, because what? Because I've been working late? Because I'm actually trying to build a career? You were kissing him. So what?" she snapped, her voice sharp now. "So what if I was? You know what, Daniel? Maybe I was. Maybe I've been spending time with someone who actually appreciates me. Someone who's successful. Someone who isn't sitting around in a dead-end job, making excuses for why he can't afford a nicer apartment or a better car." I just stared at her. You're poor yourself, she continued, her voice cold now, each word deliberate. And you're jealous of successful men. That's why you don't want me to stay with my boss and make progress. You can't stand that someone like Gregory sees my potential, that he's willing to invest in me. You just want to keep me small, keep me here in this mediocre life you've built. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. My throat felt tight. I just stood up, grabbed my keys from the counter, and walked out. She didn't try to stop me. Update 3: I stayed at my friend Brian's place that night. He lived about 20 minutes away in a townhouse with his wife, Sarah. When I showed up at 2 a.m., he didn't ask questions, just handed me a beer and let me crash on their couch. The next morning, Sarah made breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast, bacon, and they both sat with me while I told them everything. Jesus, Brian said when I finished. Daniel, I'm sorry, man. Sarah reached across the table and squeezed my hand. You deserve so much better. I know, I said. I can't believe she said those things. She showed you who she is, Sarah said. Believe her. I nodded. And that's when I made my decision. I went back to the apartment while Veronica was at work. I packed a bag with some clothes and my laptop. Then I sat down at the kitchen table and opened my computer. See, here's the thing. I'm a network security analyst. Part of my job is monitoring digital communications for vulnerabilities, identifying potential breaches, and ensuring data integrity. And a few weeks earlier, when Veronica had asked me to help her set up her work email on her personal laptop because she wanted to work from home more easily, I'd noticed something. Her company used a pretty standard email server, but their security protocols were weak. Laughably weak, actually. No two-factor authentication, minimal encryption, predictable password requirements. Out of curiosity, and okay, maybe a little suspicion, I'd set up a packet sniffer on our home network, just to see what was going on. It's not something I'm proud of, but at that point, I needed to know the truth. And what I found was extensive. Emails between Veronica and Gregory going back 3 months. Dozens of them. Some professional. Most not. There were messages about meeting at hotels. The Ritz-Carlton downtown. A boutique place in Boulder. About weekend trips to Aspen that she'd told me were team-building retreats. About how Daniel doesn't need to know, and we'll figure it out. There were photos. Not explicit, but intimate. Her in a hotel robe. Him in the background of a mirror selfie. And there was one email in particular, dated October 12th, where Gregory explicitly mentioned using company funds to pay for one of their trips to Aspen. He disguised it as a client development expense, but the email clearly stated, "Don't worry, I'll expense it under the Hartley Group account. They won't notice." That was embezzlement. Clear, documented embezzlement. I saved everything. Screenshots, email headers, metadata, full email threads. Then I drafted a single email to the company's HR director, a woman named Patricia Chun, and copied the legal department. Subject line, evidence of workplace misconduct and financial impropriety. In the body, I kept it professional. To whom it may concern, I am writing to report serious workplace misconduct involving Gregory Morrison and Veronica Hayes. Attached you will find documented evidence of an inappropriate workplace relationship, misuse of company funds, and potential fraud. I believe this matter requires immediate investigation. All evidence has been preserved with full metadata for verification. Respectfully, a concerned party, I attached everything. 37 pages of emails, screenshots, and receipts. I stared at the send button for a full 5 minutes, my cursor hovering over it. Then I clicked it. Final update 2 days later, on a Thursday afternoon, Veronica called me 17 times in a row. I didn't answer. Then she showed up at Brian's place around 6 p.m., pounding on the door. Daniel, open the door. Please. I know you're in there. Brian looked at me from the kitchen. I nodded, and he opened the door. She looked terrible. Red, swollen eyes. Smudged mascara running down her cheeks. Hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She was still wearing her work clothes, but her blouse was wrinkled. "What did you do?" she said, her voice shaking, barely able to get the words out. "I sent HR the truth." "You ruined my life," she screamed. "They fired me. They fired Gregory. They're talking about pressing charges against him for embezzlement. His wife found out. She's divorcing him. Do you understand what you've done?" "Yeah," I said calmly. "I do. Why? Why would you do this to me? I loved you." "No, you didn't. You loved what I provided. Stability. Rent. Someone to come home to when Gregory was with his wife. That's not, she choked on a sob. I made a mistake. I know I did. But this is too far. You destroyed my career. My reputation. Everything. You destroyed it yourself. No. You did this. You're vindictive and cruel and you cheated on me. I said, my voice finally rising. You lied to me for months. You stole from your company. You called me poor and jealous when I confronted you about it. So yeah, I sent HR the evidence. Because it was the truth. She started crying harder, her whole body shaking. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please, Daniel. Please. I'll fix it. I'll do anything. I'll end things with Gregory. I'll move back in. We can start over. It's too late. No, it's not. Please. I love you. I really do. I was stupid. I was confused. He manipulated me. Please. No. Daniel, get out. She stood there for another minute, sobbing, but I didn't move. I didn't comfort her. I just stood there, feeling nothing. Finally, she turned and left, nearly tripping down the stairs. I haven't seen her since. 3 weeks later, I found out through a mutual friend that Veronica moved back in with her parents in Cincinnati. She's apparently working at a Starbucks while trying to find another marketing job, but the termination on her record is making it difficult. Gregory was terminated and is facing a civil lawsuit from the company for the misappropriated funds, somewhere around $18,000 total. His wife filed for divorce 2 days after the story broke, and according to LinkedIn, he's now working as a freelance consultant, which I'm pretty sure means unemployed. As for me, I'm still in Denver, still in my apartment, still driving my Honda. I don't feel vindictive. I don't feel victorious. I just feel tired, but also relieved, because I realized something. I'd rather be poor and have my dignity than be whatever she thought success looked like. I adopted a dog last week, a golden retriever mix from a rescue shelter. I named him Baxter. Edit 1. A few people have asked if I regret sending the emails. Honestly, no. I regret not seeing who she really was sooner. But I don't regret holding her accountable. Edit 2. For those wondering, yes, I changed the locks the day after she showed up at Brian's place. And no, I didn't keep any of her stuff. I boxed it all up and had Brian drop it off at her parents' address in Cincinnati. Edit 3. Someone asked if I'd take her back if she reached out again. The answer is no. Some bridges, once burned, should stay that way.